I'm Quinn, and this is the Almost Friday Show, but something special this week. We've reached our 100th episode. So we thought we'd do a little MTV-style cribs of our studio. So we're going to take you downstairs and show you where we shoot and what happens and all that kind of fun stuff. This is Delilah. She's one of our studio cats. We have two of them. They're both very lethargic. So, yeah, you're not really happy, are you? No. But so we'll put you down. But you can come with me, and we'll go downstairs, and we'll show you the studio. So come on down. All right, so here we are in the studio. We've got our editing tower here. We've got our recording area over here, which we've got all nicely set up. We've got our cameras as well. But what I want to start with first is over here. This is our green room. This is where we like to hang out and figure out what articles we're talking about and generally waste a bunch of time. So come on in here. So here's everyone wasting time. We've got Sean. He's our science guy. We've got Becky. She's our new arrival to Off the Press. And we've got Sam, who, unless she's in front of our studio cameras, really just doesn't like being on camera. But this is like where we like to hang out. We chill a little bit on these couches. Got a nice big TV here. We're going to watch our content that we're going to talk about, or movies, because we're lazy and we don't really do a lot of work. But that's what happens in this room. This is where the magic happens. That's what we like to say. That's what happens, right? The magic happens, that's what they say. Anyway, come on back out here. All right, so we're back out here. So this is where we record the show. We've got a big green screen in the background. We've got some lights set up. We've got our microphone, which we like. We use an Octava MK12 microphone as our mic for getting everyone. We like that. We think it sounds pretty good, and it's pretty cheap, which we like as well, because good sound and cheap sound are good things to have. So these two are making some silly faces. But back here, we've got Sean, and he's operating one of our two cameras. We shoot the show on two Panasonic HMC40 cameras. We're hopefully going to be picking up a third soon so we can make things more dynamic. We like these cameras because they have proper HDMI out control. We can force it to be 720p, which we like because it's less strain on our system the way that we use it. And they're very sharp, and they're pretty well built. So we like Panasonic. We're shooting this on a GH2, which is also a Panasonic camera, this whole interview thing. So we generally endorse Panasonic as a weapon of choice. Sean likes it, right, Sean? There we go, smiles from Sean. Anyway, let's go over here now. So over here we have our editing system. I do the editing every week, and we use Final Cut Pro 10. I know Final Cut Pro 10's gotten a bad rap, but we actually really like it. We find it's a fast workflow for us because we basically just replace the pieces of our show every week with new copies of them. So it's quite quick. We've built a Hackintosh tower, so we're using Mac, but not officially Mac. We've built a nice editing rig that meets all of our needs for a fraction of the price of buying a Mac Pro tower, which we think is a pretty good deal. So up here on Final Cut Pro 10, we've got the main editing window. We got our window here with all of our content. And then we're using our Blackmagic card to give us a live preview up here. So this is where all the editing happens every week. It's a pretty good workflow. We can usually bang out the episode in about half hour, 45 minutes. And it usually takes us about an hour to record the episode because, you know, we're not super fast. It's actually probably longer than that, more like an hour and a half, because, you know, we're lazy and we go and say tangents and stuff. So, but I got one more thing to show you, which is really the most important part of this whole trip, which is back here. This is our beer fridge. It's awesome because it's old, and old stuff is cool and vintage. And inside we've got some beer in there. We're actually a little low stocked right now, but we like to keep it pretty good because we get silly and stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out because there's no. What do they usually keep in there? Cristal. There's no Cristal in there. Who drinks Cristal? I don't drink Cristal. That's why it's not in there. Anyway, we got to start recording our show, so Scott needs to leave, but then come back, but then not on camera. Because, you know, Scott's part of this too, but he's had to do this whole thing while hanging onto this camera rig. So why don't you get out of here and then come back? And welcome back to the proper side of the camera. Scott, you're back from doing our mockumentary.
I hope you liked the little special thing we did for the 100. We figured we had to do something for 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Since it's been
And again, we're stressing the lazy part because we probably could have done a lot more.
Oh, yeah, because we planned that out, like, an hour ago?
We talked about it last week and then forgot about it until an hour ago.
We're very good with, having ideas and putting them on a shelf.
Yeah. Shelf.
Which is why the studio you just saw is actually as recently set up as a couple months ago.
Yeah. It's kind of good that we didn't do that walkthrough a while ago.
Oh, you would have.
Because our studio before was terrible.
Far less impressive.
Oh, God, yes.
We'll do another one maybe when we have the full new... We're making some large changes.
There's some large hardware changes coming.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do a more in-depth thing if someone would actually
Yeah, I think, we wanted to do something quick to kind of give you an idea of what our world was like. But Scott and I both do want to do a full, maybe a half-hour thing
for the geeks
that talks about our entire process.
Especially since there's a lot of people who want to do this. And I know for us, it took us quite a while to learn exactly what, and for what price and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this show for nearly 2 years in video. And we started with a studio that cost us $500 to make.
Most of that was not camera gear because we already had cameras. And
we had some crappy standard definition cameras and a laptop
with some software that we conveniently got in part of a Mac bundle
years ago.
Yeah, that's like $200.
And we still use it. We haven't moved on from that. And as much as it has its problems, it's been a really great tool for us. But we're now looking at a studio that's worth substantially more than that. But we started small, and I like to think that we've done a lot with what we had. So
hopefully when we do the major hardware change and we understand what's going on fully, we'll do maybe a longer format.
And this is also our roundabout way of saying thanks for putting up with 100 episodes because. We don't get a lot of feedback from you, but we still get view numbers, and that's the feedback we want.
Somebody's watching us.
Somebody's watching
here every
us.
week.
Russia likes us.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But we'll move on to this week's show, which is the date today.
March 15th, 2012.
There you go. And started off the press. Oh my God, Diablo 3 has a street date.
Yes, May 15th.
Oh, you just ruined the whole entire thing for them.
She's going to talk about how good it's going to be.
I guess.
And if you haven't found that out and you're watching this show, the wrong show for you probably.
It's true.
Really exciting. I'm excited for Diablo 3, especially since you were like, oh, it could be literally any time from now. And then, oh, look at that.
And now that any time from now has a date.
Yes. So, if you're fighting after one of those beta keys, don't bother now because you can probably just wait out for this.
Well, I still want to try it.
Really? You can't just... All right.
I'm impatient.
We're going to Tech Insight, and we're talking about the new rules for Canadian ownership of telecoms. Big Canadian news this week. And for those of you who don't live in Canada, we're talking about PayPal with its kind of competitor Square.
Which also applies to Canadians, which is also good.
Which is weird, because I think it's almost exclusively Canadian news this week in tech. Almost.
And in science, we're going on to Encyclopedia Britannica, which is apparently not going to be printed anymore.
That's right. The age of printed encyclopedias is now over. So, instead of getting out the index volume and finding what you want and then finding the actual volume...
You'll just download the iBook of it.
Why would you even do that? Really?
Just go to Wikipedia.
Yeah. Sean will tell you the details about that and some cool stuff about Microsoft delving into translation.
Absolutely. But without further ado, it's time to go to Off the Press.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Off the Press. Before we get started, we're going to take a second to remember Moebius. He passed away on the 10th, this past weekend. Of March. And he was a cornerstone of comics and a brilliant influence on anyone who's any good these days. So.
And even if you don't know the name, you'd have seen stuff that he's done. He has done just about a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. From bande dessinée to working for Marvel. So
all the things.
We'll miss you.
Mm-hmm. Now moving on to something
a little more upbeat.
way more exciting if you are a fan of computer games. Diablo 3 finally has a real release date. Yay! And as Scott spoiled in the intro, it's May 15th. Super exciting. You can pre-order now from Blizzard.
Of this year!
Yeah, of this year. You know what? Let's not get our hopes up.
Are you sure?
Let's not get our hopes up until it actually ships. Blizzard. So you can pre-order now from Blizzard, and they're downloaded a week ahead of time, so you can have it at exactly midnight PST, so that you can play ASAP. Good stuff.
And in comics this week, we have one comic, Sega 1.
Sega.
Yes. written by Brian K. Vaughan, and the art is by Fiona Staples, who she's done everything. So she has penciled it, she has inked it, she has painted it, and all the words that aren't in word bubbles are also by her. The lettering is done by one Mr. Stephen Finch. It's an epic, guys. It's
Super.
It's beautiful, and everything about it is awesome. And if you can find a copy,
Yeah.
I recommend you read it.
Apparently they're selling pretty fast. So
Yeah.
I wasn't able to pick up a copy Wednesday afternoon at 2 stores that I checked with Becky. However, did find a place that had like
I have a
12
slightly
copies.
less populated store, so I was
This is
able to
true,
pick up a
yeah.
copy.
I go to the popular
For
stores.
sure. So as you can see, the art is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely a whimsical sci-fi fantasy, and as we all know, I don't think Brian K. Vaughan has ever written anything that wasn't good. So keep an eye on it, guys. I'll probably review it once we hit issue 6 or 7 again.
Yeah. I read it. I liked it. It's the first issue, so it's kind of hard to say what's going on without, wanting more. But I'm definitely going to be picking this up next month. Yay. Oh, Image. This should be called the Image segment.
Yeah, we'll just call it the image segment.
Yeah. All right. And new releases this week in the theaters.
21 Jump Street. It's
Yeah.
a remake of an 80s show,
That's-
which was lighthearted and delightful and extremely cheesy, so we'll see what they've done to destroy it,
It looks pretty funny, I guess, if you're into that.
if you like that.
Yeah. And on DVD and Blu-ray, something much more exciting for us. The Adventures of Tintin! Ah!
As somebody who absolutely hates 3D in the movies, I loved this
The
one.
3D was so well done in this movie. So exciting.
I hope there's chock full of special features. It always is.
Oh, yeah.
Super buying that. Also, Three Musketeers came out. I don't know if any of you saw that, but I know that I
It was
did.
in the theaters for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really excited, so I went to see it. It's absolutely off the cuff, over the top funny,
It's a romp.
and it's just delicious. All the characters are so over the top, so I would recommend, at the very least, renting that one.
It looks like a fun movie, if not a good movie.
It's like they established that Three Musketeers has been done to death, so they were just going to make it look as cool as they possibly could, and really not take logic or physics or anything into account when they did it.
historical accuracy. Whatever.
Historical.
Jones beats Three Musketeers.
No.
No.
And we also have The Guild Season 5, now available at your real brick and
Real
mortar
people
stores.
guys.
Real people stores, guys.
Awesome.
Very cool.
If you pick up a copy, take a picture of it and tweet it at Felicia Day, because she is compiling that stuff.
She is so psyched.
So psyched.
That's adorable.
I know. So, and then in games, we have Tales of Graces F, which is out for the PS3. JRPG.
JRPG. Apparently, it's in some way related to the Tales of Symphonia
Okay.
games. It looks pretty.
They all look pretty.
They all look pretty. Yeah, it's a JRPG.
Kind of how they roll.
Mm-hmm. And we also have FIFA Street.
Mm-hmm.
Super exciting for you soccer fans out there, or sorry, football fans.
If you're going to be legit.
Yep.
After that, we've got Silent Hill Downpour out for PS3 and 360. I've watched people play Silent Hill and then not slept for a couple of days. So if that's your thing.
I
That's
totally
out.
haven't watched a Silent Hill game for like 5 or 6 years, and for good reason. It's scary. And finally, we have Yakuza Dead Souls for the PS3. Looks pretty cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
I won't play it, but I'll watch someone else
Most of the
play it.
Yakuza games are really well done.
Yeah.
And not as popular here as they are overseas, obviously, but still decently popular.
Yep. Those of you who already like it, I'm sure, are pretty stoked.
Yeah. Or are already playing it right now and not getting
Yeah.
any sleep. Just go eat or something.
Or keep granola bars next to you in a box. That's really good. Not chips.
No.
Granola bars.
Granola bars, you can eat them in the wrappers, don't get your controllers greasy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's it for Off the Press this week.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Insight. We're starting off with some PayPal news this week. PayPal has announced their new service called PayPal Here. It's not available yet, but you can opt into it, and it's basically a competition for other popular pay-by-phone services, such as Square and things like that, which use your cell phone, your iPhone or Android phone or your tablet, iOS or Android, with a little device to accept credit card payments.
Yeah, so we've seen this crop up, especially pretty much only in America. I'm sure in China and Japan, but we don't really hear a lot about those kind of markets.
Yeah.
Really big in America. So you or I could have credit card interactions without having to pay, big fees for this terminal and all this kind of thing. You could just whip out your phone. I'm charging you $10. Here you go, and you swipe the card, and away you go.
Yeah, so I mean that's the important thing is that when you look at a regular business that operates with credit card terminals, not only do they pay a per transaction fee, but they also pay a monthly fee for access to that service. So for a lot of smaller businesses where they might not have as many transactions, I myself, I do a lot of private training, and so I only do 10 or 20 a year, and of those maybe 4 or 5 of them are going to be interested in paying by credit card. So for me, I don't want to spend $10 or $15 a month on a gateway fee for something that I'm only going to use occasionally.
So that's why you used to see it at small retail outlets, like small computer stores especially.
Yeah.
You'd see if you pay with cash or debit, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Because the normal price is if you have to pay with a credit card, because they're just including that into the price because they can't afford to pay it otherwise on their margins.
Yeah, so these guys here are offering a no cost, and it's just on a percentage per transaction.
Yeah, which makes sense because they do have to run the thing and interface with all credit card companies and things like that. I think the big thing for this is it's got brand recognition as PayPal.
Yes.
Which is the biggest,
The largest third-party payment accept
Absolutely.
on the internet.
And for all the things the company's gone through, it is still fairly well trusted. I mean, they're very secure. We haven't had any big password fiascos and anything like that with PayPal. And it's rolling out to more than just America.
Yeah, so Square is really great, and it's been around for a little while, but it's currently only available in America to American bank holders.
Yeah.
So I was interested, but not available to me. PayPal is going to be available in Canada at the same time as in America. And like Square, they are offering their little card reader for free. And again, no fees except for the percentage. But what PayPal's doing that's a little bit different that I think is pretty neat is because PayPal already has a back-end system for accessing and withdrawing funds, because people do transactions with PayPal all the time, PayPal is offering a debit card that allows you instant access to the funds that you just got. So Scott pays me $80 for a service. I can now turn around 5 minutes later and use my PayPal debit card to buy something with that $80 that he spent with me. And what's even cool about that is the card offers a 1% cash back on things that you use, so that 2.7% that you initially incurred for your transaction fee, basically it's knocked down 1% if you continue to use their debit card to make purchases with it, which I think is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're someone like yourself, or even if you're doing it 1 or 2 times a month, it wouldn't be unreasonable to just use it off the debit card. If you're not talking big money, let's say, you're a tutor or something and you charge by credit card, whatever, you've got maybe a couple $100 in your thing a month. Use that to buy all your food or when you go to the bar or whatever. And
Get
then,
your gas.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'd be really easy to get that 1% back, making it a price advantage over Square, on top of the fact that it's PayPal, so it's already linked to your bank account. So if you want to do big funds transfer,
You can transfer them right back to your bank account. Which is another thing about PayPal is because they work as intermediary with some of the other companies, you have to tell them what bank you want to send it to, and there's a delay time to that. But with PayPal, if you're already an authorized PayPal user, you likely have a bank account linked, so you can very quickly take those funds and send them back to a bank account. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to create any new accounts. You're using the service you've already been using to make purchases online. So I think it's pretty cool, and I like what PayPal has. They basically met their competitors and then offered a bit more. And they've made it available in Canada, which for us is big.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic service. We'll wait and see what happens when it ships.
I've signed up to get one, so when we get one, we'll do a review on the hardware.
Absolutely. Next up, we're talking about OnLive. A while back, we talked about how OnLive was bringing streaming desktops, so Windows environments, to especially to aim that's basically the same as iPads. So if you want to open Word documents and stuff, yeah, you can open it on an iPad, but let's be honest, you can't open it on an iPad. So if you want to edit it and have any kind of actual functionality, you need Word.
Yeah.
So OnLive goes, well, we can stream games. Why can't we stream a desktop?
Absolutely.
So, a lot of people have had really good, experiences with it. It works fairly well from what I understand. Decent controls considering it's a Windows desktop on an iPad. But Microsoft has stepped in and goes, you can't do that. This goes back to the alternative uses of technology that are not considered by license agreements.
Yes.
Like when we talked about, I can't remember the name of that service that had all those DVD players.
Yeah,
that was streaming.
It was like Zynga. Or
Yeah, they got
something
horribly
like
shut down.
Yeah.
This is basically the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, OnLive is basically trying to do something that's in kind of a gray area.
Yes.
It's like there's not really a rule for it, but you kind of know that you shouldn't be doing it.
Because OnLive couldn't go buy a special license that currently exists to do this.
No, exactly. Microsoft hasn't made any inroads for that to be an option.
You can buy a pile of licenses, but then you need one for it. That just gets ridiculous. So what's happened here is, I think a good thing is Microsoft has approached them and said, let's fix this.
Yeah.
So you can still do it, talk. I imagine it'll be fairly expensive.
I'm sure they'll work out some backroom contract. So.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, hopefully. But I like that Microsoft didn't go right to the courtroom. Like we see with a lot of these things. That's what the MPAA would have done. That's what a lot of the studios would do. But Microsoft has kind of said, look, it's an interesting feature. We don't think it's not something we want to offer, but let's talk about how you can offer it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Microsoft saying, listen, we know you all wanted Microsoft Office on your iPad, and we don't want to give it to you, so we'll just figure out another way for you to have it by agreeing with these guys.
Well, see, I don't know. I think maybe there'll be Office on the iPad eventually.
Maybe.
But I think it's nice to see in this ridiculous environment where everybody sues everybody about everything.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is kind of going, all right, let's just figure this out.
It's kind of like Microsoft was like, that's clever. It was wrong, but it's clever, so let's work on that.
I put it in here because it's like, you can still use it, the service is still running and everything, but I like that, for once we have an example in the tech world where the lawsuit was not the first choice. They had a business-to-business discussion, which is the way things should be.
Microsoft, we commend you.
Not very often we give kudos to Microsoft on this show.
It's true.
But this is well-deserved.
Moving on, RIM has decided that the playbook will be getting BlackBerry 10, but after the regular phones get it.
Yeah, so BlackBerry 10s used to be BBX, but they couldn't pay for the name.
Because, they're broke.
Is it supposed to be their savior operating system, which has yet to be seen. So BlackBerry's come out and said, well, not only will our new BlackBerries that aren't out yet have BlackBerry 10, but after those BlackBerries come out with BlackBerry 10, we'll put it on the playbook.
Yeah.
Which does not bode well for anyone hoping for a playbook 2 anytime soon.
Yeah. But, we talked about earlier that it seems that everyone who owns a playbook is a diehard playbook fan.
Yeah, because Quinn wasn't really aware of all of it, but a bunch of people have been saying, app developers have been going, we're not making this for playbook. And then playbook people...
Because, app developers are like, really? Come on, guys.
Playbook, really? That's like deving for WebOS, But all these playbook people are so passionate that they get their decisions reversed. And I've seen it 2 or 3 times, which is a lot more than you've seen for anything. Everyone owns a touchpad. And you go, I need it on my touchpad.
Where's Netflix for my touchpad? And Netflix is like, no, guys.
No, yeah.
But BlackBerry's like, where's Netflix for my touchpad? And Netflix is like,
I guess.
All right, fine.
Yeah, fine, we'll do that. So, I think it's very interesting that the people who have playbooks are very passionate about their playbooks.
So I'm sure that even though they'll be getting this after their BlackBerry Bold 10,000 comes out.
Which will look oddly like the 9000.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll be stoked that they can have it at some point in time.
Also, another development of the playbook, if you really want a keyboard for your playbook, that exists now, $129.
It's kind of expensive.
Which is
keyboard.
Most of the price of the playbook.
Yeah.
I think they're like, you can get them for like $250 now.
Does it not just use like a Bluetooth keyboard like the rest of stuff?
I think it clips in, but that's probably just for power.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's like a case thing too, but it's made by BlackBerry, so you need your BlackBerry clip and stuff.
It'll have this. It'll have the the trademark keyboard clicks of your BlackBerry.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'll put on a keyboard.
If you really want that. So yeah. Now the meat of the week, the big story. Arbitrarily not arbitrarily necessarily, but very unexpectedly, Christian Paradis was like, I'm having a news conference after the stock market's closed today. He's the industry minister in Canada, and he's the one who oversees organizations like the CRTC. So there's been a lot of discussion about the small telecoms in Canada that are now popping up due to things like frequency auctions and the freeing up of airspace. So we've talked about the whole Wind Mobile case where, they couldn't exist because they had too much foreign ownership, and then Ottawa said, yeah, that's fine, go ahead, even though they never changed the law. So they're now changing the regulations. So you're allowed to have as much foreign ownership as you desire if you're a startup. So this is where a lot of, that part is very exciting. In terms of competition, not if you're a buy Canadian kind of guy, but in terms of prices, hopefully that's exciting. But you're capped out on market share. So if Wind Mobile, who has lots of phone ownership, hits 10% market share, they have to reorganize their ownership before they can expand further.
Yeah, so they'd have to look for investors in Canada that want to help them expand, or get rid of some of the investors they already have.
Yeah, it basically becomes very complicated, and they can't just stop people from signing up, obviously, but they can limit them in terms of licenses for new spectrum and things like that, and licensing towers to go up and things like that. So it's like a win-lose.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more little companies starting, Probably because someone like Verizon could swoop in and start a company. Someone like Sprint or Orange in the UK they could just start their own fully branded thing, 100% foreign invested, which is interesting. But at the same time, there's this big ceiling that you're looking at where you're like, well, I can expand only so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that they put the cap at 10%.
Seems a little low.
I feel like, like 25 maybe.
Yeah.
But like 10, it's like, oh, okay, we've just made it. Like now we're officially a company and we have to restructure everything.
Now, the only other way to look at it is to hit 10%, I think, in the market as it is now would be mind-blowing.
I guess.
With Rogers controlling almost half and Bell and Telus splitting the rest.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous market to try and compete in. So if you could get that high, that's really impressive as it is. Maybe it's worth rejiggering at that point. He also made an announcement about the spectrum, because we did the digital switchover, kind of. Canada didn't really half-assed. Some places switched, some didn't.
So that's pretty much par for course of this.
Yeah. Anyway, the switchover will be finished by the end of this year, save one or two weird communities. So that spectrum is going to be auctioned off beginning of 2013. So it's the 700 megahertz and 2500 megahertz bands. So those are perfectly good for things like LTE.
Yep.
So that's getting auctioned off, but they're limiting how much the big three can buy. So that's Rogers, Bell, and Telus.
So that's ensuring that some smaller companies can get in on those
Yeah.
bands to expand their companies already or start a new company.
Yes, and there's a clause where if you buy spectrum, you have to use it. So you cannot hoard spectrum.
Yeah, you can't camp on a spectrum.
Yes. So if Rogers bought it and said, well, I'm rolling out LTE and spectrum I already own, so why am I just bought 2500 so that these guys couldn't have it in the big cities.
Yeah.
You have a certain amount of time to start implementing the technology, or it goes to auction again.
Interesting.
So I think that's a really good thing in terms of the auctioning process.
Yeah, I mean, anything that really helps monopolies not have as much control, I think is a good decision.
Yeah, because even with the entrance of Win, Mobilicity, Public Mobile, Videotron, we haven't seen the marketplace change all that much. They offer pretty good services, but like we discussed in a previous show, they're not making money because they have to, give you cheaper phones and cheaper plans by such a degree to make you want to switch. So it's a very challenging market for them, while the big carriers don't feel they have to reduce prices. And in fact, they're not. A lot of the times they're increasing prices, and they'll hide it in a thing like, oh, caller ID is now included, but the plans are all $5 more. So you're like, oh, great, I just am forced to get discounted caller ID.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch-22 on what it's actually doing. So hopefully something exciting will happen when the spectrum gets auctioned. But again, before we see something with a carrier with 700 megahertz spectrum, you're looking 2014.
Yeah.
Realistically, it'll sell off in 2013. They have to plan, develop, make their company. So no change anytime soon, but hopefully good things to come.
All right, and that brings us to the end of Tech Insight for this week.
It's kind of alive! No, it's still dead. Oh.
Sad news, everyone. So this is going to be a pretty brief mention. The Encyclopedia Britannica is going out of print forever.
Yeah, they're closing the printing presses.
Yep, they're closing their printing doors after 244 years.
That's a hell of a run.
Really
if you
long run.
Didn't already know, 244 years. That's a long time to be printing off information that although you had to buy it in volumes, was easily accessible.
It's true.
But
this isn't the end. So they've announced that even though they have killed off their Dead Tree editions, they will be focusing more on their website now.
Yeah.
Fun fact, everyone, they exist as a website.
yeah, they have actually.
They always have, yeah.
They have since I think the 90s or
Since
so.
like the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, mid to late 90s.
And they've been expanding ever since.
Yeah,
Pretty
and what they're focusing on is making it basically a shoe-in in the competition with Wikipedia. So I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
I mean, really, no one buys Dead Tree encyclopedias anymore.
editions.
I mean, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But you know what though? I bet you they are going to come back a few years later, and they're going to be like, "Hey, get the whatever 300-year."
In 56 years,
Yeah,
they'll come back. By
exactly.
the 300th year anniversary.
Or even or maybe in another
6 years, yeah.
yeah,
Their
another few.
250 year anniversary. I can see them doing like sort of special editions like
Yeah.
that, but not a regular thing.
And you know what? If the price is right, I'd buy it.
Yeah, it would look really nice on the bookshelf.
As I say, they're always leather bound.
Oh, yeah.
They're expensive as hell, but you know what? They look awesome, and they have all the pertinent information.
It's true.
Which is part of the reason that they're going to be designing it the way they're going to.
Definitely.
Which, well, rest in peace, Encyclopedia Britannica printed version. We'll hope to find you in immortality on the web.
And now moving on to the future.
Star Trek-y type future,
Star
dude.
Trek-y type future, brought to you by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone else see that coming? Anybody?
Sort of.
Anybody?
Well,
Yeah? No.
they've got
Okay.
the dollars.
Yeah,
they
I
can do it.
suppose.
So Microsoft Research has basically developed a universal translator, but wait, it does it in your own voice.
Yeah, so you don't sound, or you're not just getting like the Microsoft Sam voiceover,
Yeah, so it's not like the Siri voice, it's not
Yeah.
the Microsoft Sam voice.
which is what I was expecting when I
Yeah.
first read the article.
Well, there
I'm
are
like, ah.
there are a couple of really good apps on iOS as well as Android that
Yep.
do the translate in pretty close to real time with a robotic voice. This one here, basically you read into some software for about an hour just so it knows how you sound, and then it will spit out a translation in a kind of auto-tuned version of your voice.
Almost.
Almost.
That's actually probably the best way to put it. It does 26 languages. The whole idea is it takes the little sounds that we have when we speak.
Yeah.
Because if you just took our voice and translate it, it becomes perfect articulation, which doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Because humans do not... did it there.
Yeah.
They don't speak perfectly. We
And
use
different
abbreviations.
languages
Sound different.
sound different, pronounce things differently, and use your whole mouth
Yeah,
differently.
exactly. So you use your tongue
Like,
differently.
I can't roll my R's, so I would like to see how Microsoft deals with that.
But, well, it probably won't be able to do that.
No.
But what it's going to do, though, is it takes those little sounds that we make as we speak, it takes those little mouth movements and all of that, and it tries to break it down and put it into the language so it sounds a little more natural. So they have examples on, if you check our show notes, we have a great website that actually has the examples.
Yes.
It sounds pretty good.
It's not too bad. It's, like I said, it's an auto-tuned version of your voice, but it's
Yeah.
still pretty much your voice. The only downside is, how do you know if you're wrong? Voice to
Other language that you don't understand.
speech dictation, that's what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
isn't 100% accurate. So, you're asking, where's the washroom? It could be,
Where's the train station?
I did your mother,
Yeah, that
It could end badly.
You know what? I see that happening.
Yes.
Like, this is basically the Babel fish
Yeah.
that we've been waiting for.
How do you know you're wrong? Well, when you get punched in the face.
When you get punched in the face, war is declared, or if you're just shot on sight.
If you're kicked out of the establishment.
Yeah, but to sort of offset that, the software is supposed to make a text version
Yes.
as well, so it
So
has
that-
both of them side by
So I
side.
guess you can go in and manually correct the
If-
to say toilet instead of your mom.
Exactly. So either way,
Could get awkward.
it could get a little awkward.
Yeah, but you know what? Still pretty awesome, especially if you're traveling or you're in an awkward situation with someone who's not from your area.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the military is going to, of course, take this and fly with it because they've been looking for something like this for decades.
Although you're putting a lot of interpreters out of work.
That is true, and interpreters are paid very well.
They are. So if you can
So-
speak lots of languages,
Yeah, just actually imagine how that's going to do with the UN.
yeah.
But they might still stick to humans.
Yeah, I think something like the UN, you probably want to stick to humans because there probably is a lot of jargon involved and all that sort
Probably.
of thing. But I guess your basic, I'll have a beer, or where's the washroom, or where's the subway station, you probably get away with this.
How do I get out of this country?
Yeah, where is the airport?
Yeah. So moving along. Speaking of airports,
Yeah.
hey, that was a good one. We weren't even trying for it.
We're getting good
Um,
at this. It's like we do this every week or something.
Yeah, we're getting good.
I
This
think we've
is
done this
awesome.
100 times.
Yeah. I don't know.
Close to it.
Yeah. Well, practice. So speaking of airplanes and airports, you know what the worst thing is to happen? Is your plane goes down. Not
Tragic.
Yeah, it's very tragic. It doesn't actually happen as much as people really think. It's
True.
not due to lightning because planes are hit all the time. Something they've actually found that may become a bit of an issue, mind you, it takes a hell of a lot, is mercury.
Oh, interesting.
So they found that if you take a bit of mercury, put it onto a bit of aluminum, specifically if you scratch said
Yeah,
aluminum.
if the
and then-
aluminum's been worn or scratched.
yeah, as soon as the aluminum gets marred, it's vulnerable. And the whole idea is because aluminum has aluminum oxide on the outside. So if you look at pick anything that's aluminum.
Yeah.
The reason why it's so resilient is because of that very, very, very strong oxide, and it doesn't flake off like rust. So because of that, it doesn't degrade. It doesn't go anywhere. Mercury, on the other hand, gets in there.
It just eats away at it.
Basically, what it does is it actually reacts with the aluminum, creating an amalgam is what they call it. And what happens is, though, that aluminum then reacts with the oxygen in the air, but it forms that oxide in the wrong place.
Interesting.
So as long as it forms right out of the mercury pool, so as long as the mercury is there, this is just going to keep on going, and it doesn't just like make more of it and it just piles up and looks ugly. It flakes off, which then exposes more of it, and then it just degrades, and it goes away.
Until you get a hole in your airplane, in which case, you're in trouble.
You're in a lot of trouble.
Well, it depends on the size of the hole. Sometimes you can make a safe landing with a small hole in the airplane, but you know, since it's eating away and then air pressure is kind of hopefully you're over land.
Yeah, hopefully. So I mean, this effect has been known to chemists forever.
Yeah.
Because
So how exactly did this come up in a plane? Is this coming up in a lab setting?
Yeah, coming up in a lab setting is something they do because there's
The
mercury
common
now
thing.
getting
It's like,
everywhere.
oh, I wonder what happens when I stick this on this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Basically, this came up because people were wondering in World War I and II, there was rumor that the world governments were going to the opposition, to the Axis powers, whatever you want to call them, to their enemies, and basically scratching the aluminum on the planes and putting mercury on it.
Interesting.
To weaken the plane, and thus it falls apart. So it was kind of a way of sabotage. So they wanted to. They knew it was going to work, but they didn't know how well it would work on planes. And so they did some testing. And I mean, if you go into the show notes, I'm sure you'll. And if you even search YouTube, you'll find videos of it.
Oh my, there's a lot of really cool videos on YouTube.
It takes a time though. It's not instantaneous. It takes quite a bit of time, but just the same, it's amazing what chemistry can do.
Yeah.
So, your little science fact and story, really. So, stay away from mercury and don't eat your sandwiches near it either, especially if you wrap it in aluminum.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't wrap it in aluminum anyway.
But it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, but what if you have tomatoes?
You put tomatoes separately, obviously.
I suppose. That wraps up for science.
And that wraps it up for the show this week. If you want to contact us, you can reach us by email at herp. Okay. And that wraps up for the show this week. If you want to reach us by email, we're contact@almostfridayshow.com.
Or you can find us on the Twitter at @almost_Friday.
And we also have a Facebook page that's not listed down here, but just go to Facebook, search for Almost Friday Show. It should be the top hit. Like us and know when our new stuff is posted.
Yep. So that's the end of the show for this week. Remember, keep your tomatoes away from your bread, especially in your sandwiches when you're going to lunch.
Use saran wrap.
Yeah.